Alright, so as I'm sure a lot of people noticed, this past weekend we actually saw our first taste of Symmetra in the Overwatch League. Now I do want to point out this was not our first taste of Symmetra in pro play, and I will show that in just a minute. But this was our first taste of Symmetra actually in the Overwatch League where she did some damage. And so I thought that we had an excellent opportunity to kind of look over Symmetra here and see what happened, because this is not a commonly played hero. This is not an easy to play hero. This is not a hero that the majority of people excel at. And this is not a hero that generally holds a lot of top 500 spots. And so I thought it would be just a great hero to kind of break down. So that we can see right here, we did just get Surefour on the Symmetra, and other than that, they are playing a very standard GOATS. So essentially, all they have done here is they have subbed out their D.Va for a Symmetra. And this is the same thing that happens all the time with a McCree. A McCree will replace the D.Va too. The only thing that makes you really weak to is Ana nades if the enemy team had an Ana. Now the good news is Seoul decided to play a very standard Zen Goats, and so right now they don't have an Ana. If they wanted to pull out an Ana though, they can have a very easy time anti-ing this comp, because the only thing that can stop it is either being blocked by the Rhine Shield or being cleansed by the Zarya Bubbles.
Is it? The Symmetra, okay. I've seen everything.
So what you can see so far, and this is going to be the way that is true most of the time, is Symmetra is played almost the exact same as the McCree that we've seen. Not even just comp-wise, positioning-wise too. She either plays at like a medium range behind the Rhine Shield to spam her alternate fire and get a lot of damage off of that, or she plays at very close range like a McCree may to get his right clicks and flashbangs off. And she would be getting her primary fire off. Okay, so this was no big surprise. Of course they would want to make use of the teleporter. I don't necessarily agree with where they went and why they did this though, because if we look at this, they teleport right into the middle. The phone booth and the inside that they can duck in is very far away, and so is this corner. If they really wanted to do this, they actually would have had a better time probably teleporting up top and then dropping down and around, because there's such good cover at this side over here. But because they teleported to where there's absolutely no cover, they've essentially already lost the GOATS battle. It is no surprise that they lost this, because even if they started to win this, Seoul can hide behind the statue or behind this door here. And so they can give them a tick or two, get their shield fully back up, everything. And meanwhile, I mean, you can see Seoul right here. Like, it's no surprise hiding behind this car and stuff. And the Gladiators have to fall back to now a crappy position that they could have got just from rotating through the hotel anyway. And so I really don't like where they teleported, and they should have seen that coming, unfortunately.
So here's the play. The Gladiators get onto the point. They kind of do a bit of a rope-a-dope with the Seoul Dynasty, but they still lose big Qs early in the fight, and they're looking worse for wear health-wise. Void's down, hydration's missing. Roar's not looking good.
Unfortunate, and I don't like that that was Symmetra's very first debut, because there was no reason that it had to go like that. It was literally just teleporting into a bad position.
Increase in energy on the field, except this where it can get charged up much faster.
And there you go. This is the first time someone has dealt hero damage as Symmetra in the Overwatch League. And then this is great, what they do here. And I'm going to be talking about this more later even. Throwing the wall right here puts Seoul in such an awkward spot, because they have to push into them. And in that point, because the wall is on point, they can just keep kind of rotating around this wall in like a constant circle. And the only person who can really do consistent damage at that point is a Reinhardt. And a Reinhardt will absolutely get melted really fast pushing in solo here. And that wall even cuts off a lot of heals. So like Lucio needs to go through the wall if he wants to heal, because his heal is line of sight. Briggs' heal is line of sight. Transcendence is line of sight. If they needed to Transcendence, he has to go on either side of the wall. And so a pro team, when they go against a wall, will instantly call like play left side, play right side of the wall, and every single person needs to listen, because otherwise they're line of sighting themselves and they get themselves killed. But throwing the wall there was great, and Seoul honestly should have seen it coming. They should have been holding point a little stronger.
Especially if like you were stuck in like a graviton surge, let's say, you can use it to like.
The problem with every team going against this is they're all going to say something like, oh, we were surprised, oh, that's not something we've practiced against, but they have tons of scrims where they can practice against stuff like this, and this is not the first time Surefour has played this comp. He has played it in comp, and he's played it at another pro tournament that we're going to take a look at later. Not tournament, Pugs. And this is my #1 complaint now about the wall. So do you remember how I was just saying every single team will either say let's play left or right of it, and they can basically avoid the wall by doing that? That's exactly what happens here. He drops the wall, and they have so much space that's free over here still that it doesn't matter. And this is so small even that they can flip to either side of it in like a half second. And so terrible position for a wall first, like not even on Surefour's part, just on the map geometry, but then even worse that we would think that we would want to put it there like that because it doesn't hold them back at all or anything like that. And that's the end of Surefour in this on Sim. He goes over to Sombra now, which is also a comp we saw a lot. And so now let's go check out a game where Surefour kept winning and his team was steamrolling, and kind of see the differences in how that Symmetra was played and why Seoul should have saw this coming. Alright, so now we're jumping to Jane's Pro Pugs, which were played about a month ago. And I called this pro play, and I still stand by the fact that it's pro play, because when you look at the names, this is insane. All pro players, lots of different teams represented, and who we're really here to see, Surefour on Symmetra. And that's why I say that any team should have seen this coming. He talked very competently of it. Every player saw this. This wasn't just one random thing that he ran in one comp game. Nothing like that. Like this was a real thing and a big thing that he ran. And his team dominated overall, even without him. But him being on Sim really helped them dominate. So they're playing, again, the exact same way, and you can even hear Surefour right there say we need to play mid-range. It's playing just like you would with the McCree. And for any teams that want to run this, that's exactly how I would start it. Run it the same way you would as your McCree goats, and then you can kind of shift to get differences. And so you can see, like right here, he's playing very far forward to get his high charge, melt the Rhine, just like he would do if he was on a McCree. He would flashbang instead of get high charge. Same difference. And you can see actually the way to counter that, or the way that it was attempted to be countered, was D.Va and Ryan going forward at the same time, so that D.Va doesn't just get melted. And then unlucky, melted there. Absolutely fragged by J-Jonak there. Unfortunately, that's what happens when we don't have a Rhine. And regular goats and McCree goats and Sim goats. Still very consistent. So his team won this totally without him. We just fight with it. And interesting, you can actually hear them talking about how do they use wall here.
We have wall. What the fuck do you mean wall? We just fight with it.
And Surefour is right, you just fight with it, but not if you make it so they can easily cross the sides or easily play on one side, because that doesn't matter in the slightest. The reason it worked so well the wall earlier was because they all needed to push together in order to get past it, and they didn't have an easy way to push together. If they would have all pushed, it would have been very easy to frag the Zen or something while they were pushing, and if they didn't all push, then they're fighting a 5v6, 4v6, 3v6, and so that's why it was a great wall placement earlier. But when we place walls, and this is a great tech Surefour's doing, because you can teleport your sim turrets. But when you place walls even like this, it's so easy for them to play on one side of them. The only reason this kind of catches them out is because they commit to the grab and stuff here, but it doesn't get any kills. Look how easy it is for them just to switch sides of the wall they're playing on. And so that's terrible, and I hate that we saw Surefour do that a month ago, and then now we saw him do it again in a pro game. So maybe it's not something that he noticed or the coaches mentioned or whatever, but when you place wall where it's easy for them to flip, your wall doesn't matter at all. And you have to like that Surefour is placing so much emphasis on his turrets. They do a lot of damage, even more than that. Their slowing ability does more damage. But actually, what I would have done if I was trying to farm with my turrets here is would have thrown them back here, because they don't have a Zarya and we do, so you know they're going to be falling back. And so you can get some really nice kills with your turrets, or at least some really nice damage. But because he throws them at the ground, all but one of them get destroyed on their way down.
Ryan shields get burned right now, boys. I'm set, but I'm dead. Nice.
And you see how kind of unfortunate that was. Even though they were up their Zarya, it was 5v6 there, and they could have and maybe should have won. They played iffy, and because of that, they didn't push as hard as they needed to, and the enemy team was able to stabilize with ults. And Surefour is still bringing it back to that mid-range McCree type style. That was such a better use of the turrets there. The fact that they have to look away from you to kill them, the fact that they can get more damage on the high ground. Throwing them at the ground, it's not even that the ground is bad, but they're easier to destroy once they're there, and they're really easy to destroy before they even get there. But this is kind of what I was talking about. This is what I would have loved to see in the pro game, and I wish that Sim would have worked out just a little bit more. Once you start getting to this third point, you can just own the high ground. And finally a better wall. So look, they have to totally cross this all together if they want to get value out of the wall. Or they can hang back here, but then they can frag them here. So this was the first better wall. It still wasn't ideal just because they were so close to it when he threw it out. But if they had somehow been back here, this would have been an amazing wall. They would have gotten so much free space on the payload. But you see how they're struggling? They're all trying to play on the left side, as you can see, but they're flipping sides a little bit, left, flipping, and so they really struggle, and that's not something that hopefully a rehearsed pro team would ever struggle with. But still, just having that better wall in that better position is what made the whole difference there. And then what you see Surefour doing here is so good on Symmetras. It's a great tech. Your teleporter still fully works in Grav, so you can teleport your entire team out of it, which works fantastic when there's something like a Grav Dragon coming for you guys.
I told you it's the 100% success rate ranked comp. It's the ranked comp.
100% ranked comp, and he just ran it in OWL. Gotta love it. And now, high ground again, and just can totally own it. Because who can threaten him on high ground besides the D.Va? And if they really wanted to play against this, they could play a Winston Goats, or they could play even just a traditional dive, because they can easily kill Surefour, and then it's a nice 5v6. And that's probably why I would end up playing Winston Goats, because once you have that really nice 5v6, Surefour's an easy kill, and then you have a really nice probably Zen kill very easily. And so I would have loved to see him go dive here, but because Surefour is allowed to just sit on this high ground forever, even fights that they're winning, Surefour is still getting kills. And this is the same thing. Why do we wait so long to throw the wall? If we would have walled them when they were up there, and they would have had trouble pushing past it, even if right now you can see I think it's like a second before that we need to look. So I would have liked him to drop it like here, but even if you would have dropped it like here, okay? So we have Zen, Brig back here, Diva here, Zarya here, Ryan here. So if Surefire would have dropped his wall like here, Zen Brig have to push up really far to get past that. They can easily collapse on the Ryan before then. They can continue pushing forward. Zen, if he wants to get any value, has to play in front of the wall. So he's going to have to be here. Look how short of a distance that is to the cart. It's fantastic to throw it like that. He does get value out of this, but I still hate the way it was thrown. Like, what was really the point of this wall? What did this wall do? Why don't they all just play on the right and then they're all safe? But instead their Zarya gets caught out. But if it wasn't for that, that probably would have been a worthless wall, because they could have all just stayed on the right side pretty easily. And look at those turrets on the high ground, just doing whatever they want, as always. And that's the end of that. I mean, really nice to finally see Symmetra in pro games. Really nice that teams have that open to them, because there's so many great teleport spots, so much value you can get out of her. It can really be a good counter to goats, like you just saw on that high ground. They have so much trouble pushing on them, and so I was very excited to see it, and I hope you learned something from this video.